the screams of the Forgotten Wing. Kyle, an ordinarily effervescent high school student, finds himself a lone silhouette against the setting sun, confined within the sterile walls of a deserted classroom. His usual sparkle is dulled, replaced by a heavy sigh that echoes across the empty room. He's a misfit with a penchant for trouble, a reputation that led to his present predicament, a detention that stretched into after-school hours. Around him, old bookshelves gather dust, standing like tired sentinels of knowledge, while discarded papers litter the floor like forgotten confetti. His textbooks lie open, their pages filled with facts and figures that blur before his eyes. Ignoring them, he dives into a captivating virtual world on his smartphone, the adrenaline-filled battles offering a respite from his grim surroundings. His fingers dance on the screen, oblivious to the fading light outside. When the first scream reverberates, it's a jarring contrast to his digital gunfire, causing him to flinch. After the initial shock, he convinces himself it's a glitch in his game, or a remnant sound from a far-off horror movie. As the school building plunges deeper into twilight, a sinister stillness sets in, broken only by the intermittent screams that seem to grow in urgency. Shivering, Kyle begins his exploration, pushing open heavy doors, the hinges squeaking in protest against the intrusion. The flashlight on his phone casts pools of harsh white light, stark against the inky blackness, revealing a tableau of disarray. Overturned chairs, dust-coated blackboards, and aged trophies. His school, usually bustling with life, now appears as a monument to forgotten times. The labyrinth of corridors seems to come alive in the night, the pale chipped paint on the walls bearing cryptic symbols that Kyle had never noticed before. The symbols are archaic and terrifying, like illustrations ripped from a grimoire, a circle within a triangle intersected by jagged lines, eyes shedding singular tears, a serpent consuming its own tail. Each one appears to be etched with a desperate urgency, as if their creators were in a race against time. Their haunting presence seems to suggest they were more than mere doodles. They were warnings, pleas, or perhaps a story from a time that the school has long since forgotten. Intrigued and terrified, Kyle follows the trail of these symbols, like a twisted treasure hunt. His footsteps echoes through the deserted hallways, the sound swallowed by the musty carpets and drapes. The symbols lead him to the derelict and forbidden wing of the school, a place shrouded in ghostly whispers and warnings that he had always dismissed as mere schoolyard folklore. Now, in the palpable dread of the night, those tales take on a stark, haunting reality. The foreboding maze of abandoned corridors seems to contract around Kyle as he ventures deeper into the old wing. The musty smell of decaying wood and the chill dampness set his nerves on edge. The once familiar school has morphed into an alien landscape that reeks of forsaken stories. Suddenly, his flashlight beam flickers and lands on a terrifying spectacle, bringing his journey to a chilling climax. The spectral entity before him is the stuff of nightmares, a living manifestation of the whispered tales he had once dismissed. The creature hovers between the ethereal and tangible, its form a distorted reflection of a human silhouette. Its figure draped in spectral shrouds flickers like candlelight, casting shifting shadows on the decrepit walls. It bears no face, but for two gleaming orbs that serve as eyes, hollow pits of endless despair. In its mouthlessness, it emits the blood-curdling scream, a sound that resonates with the very walls of the old school building. At the sight of the apparition, Kyle feels a bone-chilling cold seep into him, far colder than the air around him. His skin prickles in fear, each hair standing on end, his heartbeat a frantic tattoo in his ears. His breath catches in his throat and his legs turn to jelly. A guttural gasp escapes him, the sound swallowed by the creature's soul-piercing scream. The phone in his hand, his only source of light, feels heavy as dread solidifies in his veins. The sight of the spectral entity unfreezes Kyle's paralysis of fear, kicking his survival instincts into overdrive. He turns on his heels and bolts, adrenaline fueling his desperate sprint. Behind him, the creature lets out a chilling wail, echoing through the abandoned hallways as it gives chase. The spectral being moves with an unnatural speed, its wailing growing louder, closer. The school building, once a refuge, has become a haunting maze of terror, filled with shadows that seem to reach out for him. Kyle's heart pounds in his chest like a wild drum as he darts through the dark corridors. His lungs burn from the exertion and fear, but he pushes onward, the frantic echo of his footfalls serving as a morbid metronome. Desperation guides him towards the bathroom, a cramped space filled with graffiti-laden stalls and rusting pipes. He scrambles in, slamming the door shut behind him. In the eerie silence that follows, he can hear the soft echo of his ragged breaths and the whispering drip of a leaking faucet. Then, the chilling wail of the creature reaches him, punctuating the silence with its terrifying resonance. It's near, its presence palpable in the creeping cold and the heavy dread that hangs in the air. He fumbles with his phone, fingers slick with sweat, and dials for help. His pleas for help are met with static, the signal weak and unreliable within the concrete tomb of the old school wing. As a last-ditch effort, he records a voice message. His words, a trembling whisper of H is horrifying encounter. Suddenly, the bathroom door creaks open, the creature's spectral light spilling into the room. It's found him. Dawn breaks over the school building, painting the eerie spectacle of the previous night in a wash of soft morning light. But with the rising sun, the truth of the haunting ordeal also surfaces. Kyle's mysterious disappearance sends shockwaves through the small town. His frantic voice message, filled with cryptic pleas and terrifying wails, fuels the growing fear among the townsfolk. The school stands untouched, a grim monument in the heart of the town, its somber facade hiding a chilling secret. The digital ghost of Kyle continues to haunt his friends, his online gaming profile sending out automatic notifications, reminders of the friend they lost to the spectral entity. Months pass, but the sting of Kyle's disappearance doesn't fade. The forgotten wing of the school is cordoned off, its doors locked, but its spectral inhabitant seems restless. A new player enters this haunted stage, a bully, notorious for his errant ways. After school, he decides to sneak into the now locked school as the setting sun casts long, frightening shadows over the empty classrooms. As twilight turns to night, a familiar scream echoes through the deserted corridors, reaching the boy. The chilling sound makes his blood run cold, fear prickling at his skin. He recognizes the sound, having heard it in hushed whispers and fearful rumors, the desperate scream of the school's spectral entity. As the spectral wail cuts through the night once more, it becomes chillingly clear that the school's grim tale is far from over. It's ready to claim yet another victim to its haunting legacy. The echoing slap of phantom steps. It was during a history lesson. Restlessness possessed me. A gnawing hunger ate at my insides. Mr. Namor, our teacher, abruptly left the room, disappearing into the corridor. In his absence, the classroom descended into chaos. students bouncing around like pinballs, shouting, running amok, complete pandemonium. After Mr. Namor had instructed us to read a paragraph and then vanished, the real horror started. Unexpectedly, Mr. Namor returned. He didn't yell or berate us. He simply cast us a look that made everyone except me feel ashamed. He didn't utter a single word. Such a kind soul, classmates whispered. But I was indifferent to this. At the end of the lesson, nature called. I asked to be excused and off I went. The corridor was silent and dim, a stark contrast to the bright and sweltering outdoors. Making my way to the first floor, I entered the restroom. After a minute, the door slammed shut. Perhaps the wind shut it, I thought. Then came the sound of damp, bare feet slapping against the floor, much like a slithering octopus. A girl appeared dressed in grimy, torn clothes. She sat down, looking utterly dejected. I asked her, "What's wrong? Why are you crying?" "I'm being bullied in class," she replied, dropping her head onto her knees. "Who's bullying you?" I inquired, sitting next to her. "Everyone, even the teacher." "What about your parents?" "They just want me to leave them alone," she sobbed, tears splashing onto her jeans. I embraced her. "No one will bully you if you stop giving them attention." The girl fell silent and ceased her weeping. Suddenly, her face twisted into a menacing scowl. She began rummaging through her pockets, retrieving a shard of sharp glass. Abruptly, she stood up and lunged towards me, aiming for my neck. She missed her target, stumbling over her own feet. Terrified, I pushed her away and bolted out of the restroom. She was hot on my heels. Navigating the dark corridors was a daunting task, made all the more difficult due to my asthma, making the climb to the 4th floor a Herculean task. Yet she seemed to have a boundless supply of physical strength. The lights went out. How was I supposed to navigate? She was a monster. I steeled my nerves, tangling my fears into a tight knot. Suddenly, I spotted the girl's silhouette and heard her voice. "I'm so tired!" shrieked the crazed girl. Then came the slapping of her feet. Summoning all my strength, I kicked her and she tumbled down the staircase. Her head hit the floor with a sickening thud and she drew her last breath. I made my way back to the classroom unscathed. The school bell rang. We all bolted out of the classroom. I never found out what happened to the girl's body, but her spirit haunts me to this day. It's sitting beside me even now. As each school day, I hear the slapping of her phantom steps echoing through the school halls.